I can't, because I've promised myself to take care of you, to keep you happy. What did you say? She turned around, startled. My character may be unfamiliar to you, but your character, I've known for a very long time. A calmness spread across his face, almost admirable. You. Perai staggered and held onto the doorframe for support. Please, relax and sit here. He stepped toward her to steady her, but she raised her hand, stopping him. She was mentally shaken to the core. Explain your words, please. She used all her strength to utter each word. I will, but first, please sit down. He forcibly made her sit on the chair. You should have asked me on the very first day why I was being so friendly with you. Please get to the point. She snapped. Her life felt like it was hanging by a thread while he was leisurely playing riddles. All right, I'll tell you. He placed the neatly sliced kiwi in front of her and gestured for her to eat. She glared angrily instead. Eat the kiwi, not me. He lowered his head and chuckled. When she didn't touch it, he sighed and finally began. 4 years ago. 4 years ago. She shot up from her seat in shock. Relax. Zarab held her wrist and made her sit again. Almost 4 years ago, I went to the hospital to meet a friend. In the waiting area, I saw Ani. She looked so much like my mother that for a moment I thought it was her. But then I realized, my mother was slightly healthier. I ran after her, but she had already gotten into a car. My friend told me she was his patient, my mother's lookalike. He paused, lost in the past. Something sparked in my mind. Years ago, my mother told me about her twin sister, who left home after a family dispute. No one ever found her again. To surprise my mother, I took that woman's address from my friend and went to your house. I thought she'd be delighted, that she would want to return with me to Anayat House. And even if she didn't, I wanted to convince her. But that was just my foolish imagination. On our first meeting, without even knowing who I was, she ordered me never to return to that doorstep again. I didn't give up. Eventually she agreed to speak to me. She had carried the weight of separation alone for years, exhausted, remorseful. But some unknown chain of obligations bound her. She refused to reconnect with her family. My insistence couldn't break her decision. Instead, she chained me as well. She made me promise not to visit again. I begged her to at least let me meet her. She refused that too. In the end, I had no choice but to leave her with the number of Anayat House. Perai sat frozen, listening. Now she finally understood why her mother had been so certain that the people of Anayat House would take care of her. Ani also said that maybe she would never step onto the threshold of Anayat House again. But if destiny allowed, her shadow might return with me. Before Zarab could finish, voices from outside echoed, Assalamu alaikum. He rushed out excitedly. Perai sat motionless for several moments. Then the increasing noise outside forced her to move toward the door. The hall was full, and 3 new, smiling, well-dressed faces had joined the household. Without a word, she quietly slipped away toward her room. Mishi, Perai hasn't come downstairs. She doesn't usually sleep this late. Haba Begum asked anxiously. When I was coming down, her door was open, and the room was empty. Hearing that, Mirza squinted at Zarab sitting beside him. What, you didn't kidnap our angel Perai, did you? Mirza whispered dramatically into his ear. You only know how to talk nonsense. Zarab could have thrown a shoe at him, but settled for a glare. If you did, the lawyer is already here, sitting right next to you. I'll turn the world upside down to find our Perai. Mirza puffed his chest like a revolutionary. Zarab shook his head in defeat. Haba Begum grew worried. God forbid, maybe her health has worsened again. Just then Arfa's cheerful voice rose from the doorway. Are you talking about this Perai? Everyone turned. Perai stood at the threshold, nervous under so many eyes. She'd assumed the office-goers had left and the guests were resting. Instead, the house looked like a Sunday family gathering. Everyone, meet Perai, whom I lovingly call the angel of goodness. Mirza grabbed her hand and pulled her into the center. Because Mama believes she is the reward for some good deed of hers, and I am certain she was sent down just for me. He crooned theatrically. Zarab shifted uncomfortably. Angel Perai, meet my beautiful darling Aunt Nusrat, and her 2 flowers wilting under medical studies in Britain, Drive. Arfa and Dr. Arif. He dragged her from one person to another. Mirza, Mama can handle introductions. Stop offering your service everywhere. Zarab scolded when he saw Perai's teary expression. Why should Mama waste her energy when I'm here? Mirza grinned mischievously. You rascal, look how you've scared the poor girl. Aunt Nusrat scolded and seated Perai beside her. What can we do, Auntie? His profession has strengthened his bad habits. Zurab sighed dramatically. Laughter erupted. Alright, fine, blame me. But at least people listen to me. Unlike some people's professional blunders lying around. Mirza shot a sly arrow that hit Zurab perfectly. Wait, you mean she didn't drink the soup? The tray is lying untouched on the slab, cold like her fate. Mirza mourned dramatically. This is not done, Perai. Zurab muttered. And Nusrat sighed. Every brick of Anayat house holds memories of the four of us, we were inseparable. If your mother hadn't taken that wrong step, if she hadn't married that man, then. Perai straightened, fire in her eyes. I'm sorry, Auntie, I agree, Mama made a mistake by leaving home without trusting you all. But my father was not her wrong choice. Her voice was strong and clear. My father didn't have wealth like Anayat house. He couldn't give my mother the luxury you had. But he gave her a queen's life within his means. He adored her, cherished her, respected her. He left this city for her, endured loneliness, yet never contacted you again out of dignity. He did not want anyone thinking he married Saba Anayat for money. He gave everything he had to us, we never felt unprotected. He was an ideal husband, an ideal man. Her voice resonated through the hall. And Nusrat's eyes softened. I didn't mean to hurt you, child. And I didn't mean to argue, I only wanted you to know who my father truly was. And Nusrat kissed her chin lovingly. If the love rain is over there, sprinkle some on us too, we're drying like abandoned plants. Arfa tugged her wrist playfully. You're as sweet as you are beautiful. Your name suits you perfectly, Perai. She pinched her reddened nose. Laughter returned to the room. Call me Arfa P, no one calls me that. I've always wanted someone to. Arfa complained, glaring at Mishi. Mishi wouldn't let me call her a P either. Perai tattled softly. Mirza interjected. Being called a P is a responsibility, and she still fights me over a single chocolate. And you steal mine from the fridge. Mishi fired back. They bickered like children. Perai laughed. Zurab, however, stiffened. I'm the stranger who terrifies you, but Arif Bai here, you seem to know him forever. He muttered and walked out. It was Sunday. Anayat house smelled like a grand feast. Chef Zurab was in charge, commanding 2 helpers. Everyone sat in the hall, drooling over the aroma, waiting for his permission to enter the dining area. Mirza sat in a corner, unusually focused on his phone. Mirza, Mishi touched his shoulder. What are you looking at? She saw a pregnancy care page open. That foolish girl is our responsibility right now. Until she agrees to tell everyone, we have to take care of her, and we have no experience. He said seriously. Mishi was touched. Everything will be fine. She's almost normal now. Just then the servant announced the lunch was ready. Finally, my starving stomach's prayers were answered. Mirza practically flew to the table. Everyone took their seats. In front of each plate sat a beautifully garnished little bowl. Chef, we starving peasants can't survive on this tiny portion. Mirza wailed dramatically. It's a new dessert I created. Try it and tell me how it is. Zurab said proudly. How new? New as in, never made before. Not even in your hotel menu. Zurab shook his head. So basically, we are your experiment lab. Mirza sniffed and took a hesitant spoonful. Everyone else tried as well, confused. The taste was familiar yet unrecognizable. We give up, tell us what it is. Saber uncle laughed. Zurab grinned. Raw papaya, papaya. Mirza jumped up like he'd been electrocuted and rushed to Perai's side. Perai, spit it out. But BH, I said spit it out, you silly girl. Don't you understand? Dash.